All right, let's jump into another deep dive. Today we're talking all about mobility training, for athletes.
Oh, yeah.
But even if you aren't training for the Olympics,
Right.
this is going to be relevant to you because honestly, who doesn't want to move better?
Exactly, yeah.
Feel better, avoid those aches and pains.
Yeah, who wants to be stiff and
Exactly.
limited? No one.
So to help us break all this down, we've got a couple articles that are packed with exercises, one from WOD Tools and one from Barbend.
Awesome.
And then we've got a blog post from Overtime Athletes that really gets into why this matters for everybody, not just the gym rats, you know?
Yeah, I think what's really cool about all these sources is they're not just treating mobility like it's stretching's cooler cousin.
Right.
It's really about building strength and control throughout your whole range of motion.
Yes. Okay, so let's break it down. The WOD Tools article, they do a good job of really defining flexibility versus mobility.
Yes.
They say flexibility is how far your muscles can stretch, right?
Right.
But mobility, that's how well you can actually use that stretch,
Yeah, they give the example of a deep squat.
Oh, okay.
You might be flexible enough to get down into a deep squat, but do you have the strength and control to actually move up and down?
Oh, wow.
Smoothly, safely. Imagine a basketball player going for a rebound, right?
Yeah.
If they can't control their deep squat, they're not going to be able to explode up to grab that ball.
Well, that's a good point. I never thought about it like that. So it's almost like flexibility is the potential.
Yeah.
And then mobility is actually realizing that potential.
Exactly.
In a way that's safe and effective.
It's the difference between being able to bend over and touch your toes.
Yeah.
And being able to smoothly pick up a heavy box from the ground.
Yeah.
Without hurting yourself.
Right. And speaking of not hurting yourself, the WOD Tools article, they list a bunch of benefits, for athletes. Improved performance, reduced risk of injury. They even say increased strength and power output.
Yeah.
They even say it can make your warm-ups better.
Oh, totally.
I'm sold.
And it's fascinating how each of those has this direct link to how your body actually works. Take performance, right?
Yeah.
If you're a runner and you have good hip mobility, that means you can extend your leg further with each stride.
Okay, yeah.
Right. That translates to more efficient running, faster times. But if your hips are tight,
oh yeah,
you're limiting how far you can,
oh man,
extend your leg each time. And that's
I feel that tightness just thinking about it.
Yeah.
So it's not just feeling good. It's actually optimizing how our bodies work.
Yes, precisely.
Yeah.
And then the flip side of that, the reduced injury risk.
Yeah.
When your body is forced to compensate for limited mobility.
Yeah.
You start putting all this extra stress on your joints.
Makes sense. Yeah, and the Overtime Athletes blog, they actually talk about how even something as simple as a desk job can impact our mobility.
Absolutely.
We spend, hours hunched over, and then that leads to all sorts of tightness and balances.
Absolutely. That's why it's not just athletes who need to pay attention to this.
Yeah.
It's everyone.
Yeah, the Barbend article, they talk about how you can even use this for pain relief and longevity.
Oh, for sure.
So it's not just about, becoming a pro athlete. It's about feeling good in your body for years to come. Okay, speaking of feeling good, I am intrigued by some of these exercises.
Oh, yeah.
WOD Tools, they have one called the SOTS press.
Okay, yeah.
Which sounds challenging.
Yeah.
And then Barbend mentions something called sciatic nerve flossing.
Oh, yeah.
Which honestly sounds a little
intimidating.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're both great ones, and they both get at that core concept that we've been talking about, building strength and control in these areas that we often neglect. The SOTS press, it's a fantastic way to build stability and mobility in your hips, back, and shoulders.
Yeah.
All at the same time.
Wow.
It even challenges your thoracic extension.
Oh, okay.
Which is something a lot of people struggle with, especially if you sit at a desk all day.
Oh, I'm feeling my back straightening just thinking about it.
Yeah.
But this nerve flossing, does it actually involve floss?
You don't need to go to the dentist for this one.
Should I be making an appointment?
No. Luckily, no.
Okay, good.
It's more about gently mobilizing the sciatic nerve through specific movements.
Okay.
It can be really helpful for people who think they have tight hamstrings. But the issue might actually stem from the nerve itself being, a little restricted.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I never thought about it like that. I guess it goes to show that mobility really is about more than just like stretching muscles, huh?
For sure.
It's about like understanding how our whole body works together to create this like fluid, pain-free movement.
Absolutely.
They both go into great detail describing, these exercises.
Yeah.
There are many more. You won't be short on options.
No, you won't.
That's great. But before we go into like the specifics of each exercise, I think we need to address like the elephant in the room.
What's that?
Making this a habit.
Oh, yeah.
Because reading about it's one thing.
Right.
But actually like doing it consistently.
Yeah.
That's a whole other challenge. What do our expert sources say?
You hit the nail on the head. It's one thing to understand the benefits of mobility.
Yeah.
But it's another to actually make it a part of your routine.
Right.
Luckily, the Barbend and Overtime Athletes articles offer some really practical tips.
Okay, good.
They both agree consistency is key.
Yeah.
Recommending like 2 to 3 dedicated mobility sessions per week.
Okay.
But even if you can't do that much, just incorporate a few minutes into your warm-ups or rest periods. It can make a huge difference.
So it's about finding what works for you.
Exactly.
And your schedule, right? Yeah. Not trying to like force yourself to.
Yeah, and Overtime Athletes, they make a good point about listening to your body.
Yeah.
And adjusting accordingly.
Right.
Some days you might need more.
Yeah, that's true.
Ability work than others.
So it's about like tuning into what our bodies need rather than blindly following a program, I guess.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, I'm feeling motivated.
Yeah.
I'm still curious about some of these exercises though, especially that sciatic nerve flossing.
Oh yeah.
Can you walk us through that one?
Of course. And don't worry, it's not as intimidating as it sounds.
Okay.
The key is to move gently.
Yeah.
So imagine you're standing with one foot slightly in front of the other, like you're about to take a step forward.
Okay, got it. So like a staggered stance.
Yeah, kind of like a staggered stance. And that staggered stance is important because it helps put a little more tension on the sciatic nerve, which runs down the back of your leg.
Okay.
It's different from a traditional hamstring stretch.
Yeah.
Because it's not just about lengthening the muscles. It's about creating space and movement for the nerve itself.
Ah, okay. So you're almost like flossing the nerve back and forth.
You got it. So from that staggered stance, keep your back as flat as possible.
Okay.
And hinge forward at the hips, letting your head drop towards your front foot.
Okay. Yeah.
At the same time, you're going to sweep your arms forward as if you're like scooping something up from the ground.
Okay, I can visualize that.
Yeah.
I'm already feeling a gentle pull in the back of my leg.
Exactly. And remember, it's not about forcing anything.
Yeah.
Just gentle, controlled movements to mobilize that nerve.
It's amazing how like these exercises really highlight the interconnectedness of our bodies, you know? It's not just about stretching one muscle, it's about understanding like how everything works together.
Exactly.
Speaking of seeing the bigger picture, the Barbend article, they mention an exercise that seems like super simple, but apparently works wonders for like shoulder health and mobility. The dead hang.
Oh,
have you heard of this?
The dead hang.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's such a fundamental movement, but we often overlook it.
Yeah.
You're literally just hanging from a bar, like a kid on the monkey bars.
That's it.
Yeah.
No fancy twisting, no turning, nothing.
Nope. But don't underestimate its power.
Okay.
Hanging, even for short periods, can help decompress your spine.
Oh, wow.
Stretch your lats and pecs.
Okay.
And even improve your grip strength.
Oh, wow.
It's like hitting the reset button for your upper body.
Okay, I love that.
Yeah.
And it makes, especially considering how much time we spend like hunched over computers and phones.
Exactly, yeah.
Hanging, like that just feels like the antidote to that like rounded shoulder posture.
It is. Plus, it's a great way to build strength in your shoulders and back.
Yeah.
Which is key for injury prevention.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm convinced. I'm adding that to my list.
Good.
But let's go back to that SOTS press for a second.
Okay.
You said it was great for like building stability, but it sounded pretty intense. Yeah.
Is there something like similar, maybe a bit more accessible for someone who's just, starting out with this stuff?
That's a great question. You're right. The SOTS press can be challenging.
Yeah.
The Barbend article, they actually have one that shares some similarities, but it uses a kettlebell instead of a barbell.
Okay.
The Kettlebell Windmill.
Kettlebell Windmill. That sounds interesting.
A little bit like a circus act.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, you're not wrong. It does require quite a bit of coordination and control.
Okay.
Which makes it fantastic for building both, mobility and stability. And it works the entire body.
Okay. All right. I'm intrigued. Paint me a picture.
Okay.
How does this kettlebell windmill actually work?
So you start by standing with your feet a little wider than shoulder width apart.
Okay.
Toes pointed slightly outwards. You're going to hold a kettlebell overhead in one arm like you're at the top of a kettlebell press.
With your core engaged, you're going to slowly hinge forward at your hips.
Okay.
Keeping your back straight, that kettlebell overhead.
Got it. Okay.
And then, as you hinge, you're going to reach down towards the floor with your free hand.
Okay.
Ideally aiming to touch the ground between your feet.
Wait, so you're balancing a weight overhead while basically doing a side bend?
Yeah.
That sounds like a recipe for disaster.
It definitely requires practice and good form, but that's where the magic happens.
Okay.
To maintain that overhead position while you're bending sideways, you need incredible core strength, shoulder stability, and hamstring flexibility.
I see, okay.
It's truly a full body exercise.
I can see how that would be so beneficial for any athlete who needs rotational power, like a golfer or a tennis player.
Oh, yeah.
It's like building stability from the ground up.
Exactly.
Yeah. They, both Barbend and WOD Tools have variations of these exercises, to target specific areas. Right. For example, they both have the 90-90 hip rotation.
Oh, yeah.
Which is good for
hip mobility and rotation.
Right, yeah. I think I've done that one in yoga before.
Yeah.
It's a deep hip opener for sure.
Right. And it's a good example of how mobility training can borrow from different disciplines,
Yeah.
Yoga, Pilates, even martial arts.
I'm starting to see mobility training as less of a chore.
Yeah.
And more of a way to explore different movement possibilities. It's not about forcing your body into putzel shapes. It's about finding what feels good and helps you move better.
I love that perspective. And that's precisely what the Overtime Athletes blog emphasizes. Finding a sustainable routine that you can integrate into your life.
Yeah.
It's not about becoming a contortionist. It's about feeling good in your body and moving with ease.
And that's something we can all get behind.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. Moving freely, feeling good. I think, though, for a lot of people, the challenge is knowing where to even start with all this. How do you figure out what your body needs?
That's where the concept of mobility assessments comes in.
Okay.
The Overtime Athletes and the WOD Tools articles both touch on this idea of becoming aware of your body's, unique restrictions and imbalances.
So it's like taking inventory. How does your body move and where are the limitations?
Exactly. There are tons of different tests and screens you can do.
Okay.
Some are super simple, reaching overhead to see how far your arms can go.
Okay.
Others involve more complex movements like squatting.
Yeah.
Or lunging.
I imagine different athletes would focus on specific areas.
Of course.
A runner would focus on ankle and hip mobility.
Yeah.
Weightlifter would focus on their shoulder.
Yeah.
And thoracic spine mobility.
Yeah. The Overtime Athletes blog, they really highlight the importance of tailoring your mobility training to your specific needs and goals.
And having a personalized mobility roadmap.
Exactly.
I'm really starting to appreciate how much depth there is to this whole topic,
Yeah.
It's not just about stretching, it's about understanding how our bodies move and optimizing that movement for injury prevention.
Yeah.
Overall well-being.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah.
And what's so exciting is this is just the beginning.
Oh, okay.
There's so much more to explore, like the role of fascia, breathing techniques, even the nervous system's impact on mobility.
Okay. Color me intrigued.
Yeah.
I'm ready to dive deeper.
All right, good.
What else do these articles have for us?
They have a lot. There's so much good stuff in here.
Okay.
So remember that sciatic nerve flossing we were talking about?
Yeah.
It's a little intimidating.
A little, yeah.
But I promise it's really not that bad.
Okay.
The key, like I said, is to move gently.
Yeah.
Okay, so picture this. You're standing with one foot slightly in front of the other.
Yeah, okay.
Like you're about to, take a step forward.
Got it. Like a staggered stance.
Yeah, kind of like a staggered stance.
Okay.
And in that staggered stance, it's important because it puts a little more tension on the sciatic nerve,
Okay.
which runs down the back of your leg.
Right.
It's different from like your traditional hamstring stretch.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, it's not just about lengthening the muscles, it's about creating space and movement for the nerve itself.
Oh, so you're really flossing it back and forth. Huh?
You got it. You got it.
Okay. Okay.
So from that staggered stance, keep your back flat as possible. You're going to hinge forward at the hips.
Okay.
Let your head kind of drop towards your front foot.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, you're going to sweep your arms forward. As if you're like scooping something up from the ground.
Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, I can visualize that. I'm already feeling it, like a gentle pull.
Yeah.
In the back of my leg.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And remember, it's not about forcing anything.
Right.
Just gentle, controlled movements.
Yeah.
To mobilize the nerve.
It's crazy how these exercises like highlight how our bodies are all connected.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Everything's connected.
It's not about stretching one muscle. It's about understanding like how everything
the whole system
works together.
Yeah, the whole system.
The Barbend article mentions an exercise called the dead hang.
Oh yeah. Yeah, the dead hang.
Yeah, have you heard of it?
Yeah, it's such a fundamental movement.
Okay.
But we often overlook it. You're literally just hanging from a bar.
Okay.
Like a kid on a jungle gym.
That's it. Like no twisting, no turning, no nothing.
But don't underestimate it. Don't underestimate its power.
Oh.
Hanging, even for like short periods, can help to decompress your spine.
Okay.
Stretch your lats, stretch your pecs.
Okay.
And even improve your grip strength.
Oh, wow.
It's like hitting the reset button for your upper body.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that analogy. And it makes sense because we spend so much time like...
It's over, right.
Yeah, hunched over, phones and computers. And it feels like hanging is the antidote.
Yeah. It is. It is. Plus, it's a great way to build strength in your shoulders and your back.
Yeah.
Which is essential for injury prevention.
Okay, I'm convinced. I'm adding that to the list.
Good.
But let's go back to the SOTS press for a second.
Okay.
You were saying it's really good for stability.
Yeah.
But it also sounded pretty intense.
It can be, yeah.
Is there something similar that would be more accessible to somebody who's just starting out with mobility work?
That's a great question. You're right. The SOTS press can be a little challenging.
Yeah.
The Barbend article, they actually have an exercise.
Okay.
That's similar, but it uses a kettlebell instead of a barbell. It's called the Kettlebell Windmill.
The Kettlebell Windmill, that sounds
yeah. Like a circus act,
maybe a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Yeah.
It does require a lot of coordination and control.
Okay.
Which makes it really good for building both mobility and stability.
Yeah.
And it works your entire body.
Okay. All right, I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
Paint me a picture. How does this kettlebell windmill work?
Okay, so you start standing with your feet slightly wider than shoulder width apart.
Okay.
Toes pointed slightly outward.
Mm-hmm.
Hold a kettlebell overhead in one arm.
Okay.
Like you're at the top of a kettlebell press.
Right.
Okay. So, with your core engaged, slowly hinge forward at your hips.
Okay.
Keep that back straight, kettlebell overhead.
Got it.
And as you hinge, you reach down toward the floor with your free hand.
Okay.
Ideally trying to touch the ground between your feet.
Wait, so you're balancing a weight overhead while doing a side bend. That sounds like a disaster waiting to happen.
Yeah, it definitely takes practice. It takes good form.
Yeah.
But that's where the magic happens.
Okay.
To maintain that overhead position while you're bending sideways.
Yeah.
You need incredible core strength.
Yeah.
Shoulder stability.
Yeah.
Hamstring flexibility.
Wow. Okay.
It's truly a full body exercise.
I can see how that would be like so beneficial for any athlete who needs rotational power.
Yeah.
Like a golfer or a tennis player.
Sure.
Like building stability from the ground up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they both Barbend and WOD Tools, they both offer variations of these exercises to target kind of specific areas.
Right.
For example, they both have the 90-90 hip rotation.
Which is
I think excellent for
I think I've done that in yoga before.
Yeah.
It's a good hip opener.
It is. And it's a good example of how like mobility training can borrow from different disciplines.
Yeah.
Yoga, Pilates, even martial arts.
I'm starting to see mobility training as less of a chore.
Yeah.
And more of a way to like explore different movement possibilities.
Yeah.
It's not about like forcing your body into a pretzel. It's about finding what feels good.
Exactly.
And helps you move better.
I love that. I love that perspective. And that's exactly what the Overtime Athletes blog emphasizes. Finding a sustainable routine that you can integrate into your life. It's not about becoming a contortionist. It's about feeling good in your body. And moving with ease.
I love that. I think, though, the challenge for a lot of people is knowing where to start with all this. How do you figure out what your body needs?
That's where these mobility assessments come in.
Okay.
The Overtime Athletes and WOD Tools, they both talk about this idea of like becoming aware of your body's unique restrictions and imbalances.
So it's like taking inventory of how your body moves.
Exactly. Right. There's tons of different like tests and screens you can do.
Okay.
Some are super simple, like just reaching overhead and seeing like how far your arms can go.
Okay.
Others involve more complex movements like squatting or lunging.
Right. And I imagine different athletes would focus on different areas. Like, a runner might focus on ankle and hip mobility.
What's that? Okay.
A weightlifter might focus on their shoulder and thoracic spine mobility.
Exactly. Overtime athletes, they really highlight the importance of tailoring your mobility training to your specific needs and goals.
It's like having a personalized mobility roadmap.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm really starting to appreciate like how much depth there is to this. It's not just about stretching. It's about understanding how our bodies move and optimizing that movement for performance, injury prevention, and overall well-being.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah.
And the exciting thing is this is just the beginning. There's so much more to explore, like the role of fascia, breathing techniques, even the nervous system's impact on mobility.
Okay. Color me intrigued. I'm ready to dive deeper.
All right, good.
What else do these articles have for us?
Oh man. There's so much good stuff.
Yeah, it's really eye-opening.
It really is. And what I think is so cool about it is that it's not just for like elite athletes,
Right.
Whether you're a weekend warrior or, a busy parent chasing after kids or just like anyone who wants to move through life with more ease, mobility training has something to offer everyone.
Totally. And the Overtime Athletes blog, they talk about how our like modern lifestyles, especially like those desk jobs, can really wreak havoc on our mobility. We spend hours sitting hunched over screens, and that leads to like tight hips, rounded shoulders, all sorts of imbalances.
We're slowly turning into like human question marks.
Right.
But the good news is we have the power to reverse those negative effects with consistent mobility work.
Yeah, and the Barbend article, they even talk about how, it can actually help with pain relief and longevity.
Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure. I love how they refer to, mobility exercises as like micronutrients for your workout routine.
Yeah, that's a good analogy.
It's such a perfect analogy because just like our bodies need, those essential vitamins and minerals to function optimally, they also need these like small but mighty movements to stay healthy and resilient.
And both of the articles, they emphasize the importance of like understanding the why behind the what.
Absolutely.
It's not just about mimicking the exercises. It's about understanding the anatomy, the mechanics of the movement.
Exactly.
And that's how we can really like empower ourselves to take control of our own mobility journeys.
For sure. And that's where those mobility assessments that we talked about come in.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
So by identifying those restrictions, those imbalances, we can actually tailor our training.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like having a personalized roadmap.
I love that. I love that analogy.
Yeah.
Okay. So for somebody who's just getting started with all this, what would be like a few key exercises that you would recommend?
That's a great question. I would say a good foundation would include exercises that target, those areas that tend to get really tight from our, modern lifestyles. Hips, shoulders, thoracic spine.
So maybe something like the 90-90 hip rotation for the hips,
Oh, yeah.
the dead hang for the shoulders, and some thoracic foam rolling for the spine.
Those are all fantastic choices.
Okay.
And don't forget about those controlled articular rotation.
Oh, yeah.
Or CARs.
Yeah.
They're like a gentle wake-up call for your joints.
Okay.
Help to improve mobility, reduce stiffness. You can do them for pretty much every joint.
Yeah.
From your neck to your ankle.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm putting those on my list.
Right.
What about like those more advanced exercises we talked about, like the Sciatic press and the Kettlebell Windmill? When would somebody incorporate those?
Yeah, those are definitely more challenging exercises that require a good base level of strength and stability.
Okay.
I wouldn't recommend jumping into those right away.
Right.
It's better to master those foundational movements first.
Yeah.
Build a solid base,
right,
and then gradually progress to the more advanced variations as your mobility and your confidence improves.
So it's almost like leveling up in a game, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Gradually unlocking new abilities.
That's a good way to think about it.
Yeah.
And both Barbend and WOD Tools, they emphasize, listening to your body. Not pushing too hard too soon.
It's kind of feel good, right? It shouldn't be like a punishment or anything.
Exactly. Mobility training, it shouldn't feel like a punishment.
Right.
It should feel like a process of exploration and discovery.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. It's about finding what feels good.
For your body and honoring your own unique limits.
It's about finding that sweet spot between challenge and comfort. This whole deep dive has really changed my perspective on training. I used to think it was all about like pushing harder, lifting heavier, going faster, but now I'm realizing like true strength, resilience, it comes from this foundation of balanced fluid movement.
I couldn't agree more. It's like building a house, right? You wouldn't build a house on a shaky foundation.
Right. Yeah. No.
Right. Mobility training is about creating that solid base that allows you to move freely, perform at your best, and stay healthy for years to come.
That's such a good analogy.
Yeah.
I want to circle back to something you mentioned earlier.
Okay.
The role of the nervous system in mobility.
Oh, yeah.
The Barbend article briefly touched on nerve flossing, which honestly like blew my mind.
Yeah. It never occurred to me that our nerves could also be like restricted. Yeah. And contributing to limited movement.
It's a fascinating area of research, and it's really changing the way we think about movement. Yeah. It's not just about muscles and joints anymore. It's about how your whole nervous system influences your ability to move freely and comfortably.
So it's almost like we need to approach mobility from the inside out, right? Okay. Addressing both the physical and the neural.
For sure. And that's what I want to leave our listeners with today.
Okay.
As you embark on your own mobility journey, remember, it's a holistic endeavor. Yeah. It's not just about stretching muscles. It's about optimizing your entire movement system.
Right?
From your nervous system outward.
Yeah, I love that.
So keep exploring, keep experimenting, and most importantly, keep finding joy in the process of discovering what your body is truly capable of.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive. I feel like I learned a ton.
Good. I'm glad.
And I hope our listeners did too.
Me too.
So until next time, happy moving, everyone.